an innocent man who has done nothing to deserve it, is condemned to suffering and death. The crowd turn against him, and worse, they're willing to release a murderer instead of him. We pray today for those who, through no fault of their own, are suffering with this virus, those who are perhaps asking the question, why me? We pray that they will know the comfort of God. The guards dress Jesus as a king, complete with a crown of thorns. They mock him and give him a wooden cross to carry. Jesus knows the way will not be easy and that it will lead to his death, but he shoulders the burden and starts on his way. We pray for those in the NHS, dressing in strange protective garments, putting on face masks, knowing the risk to their own lives, shouldering their burden to care for the sick. Whilst carrying his cross, Jesus falls down. The weight of the cross, the pressure, the burdens of the world, all piled on his shoulders. We pray for carers who are bearing additional weight during this time, those caring for relatives, those caring for loved ones without the clubs and the services that usually would take some of the burden. May God give them strength for this task. What sadness must have filled Mary's heart when she saw her son. We pray for all of any gender who care and mother children. We think of those with children home from school who must shoulder the increased burden of education, enrichment, and even entertainment. Those who are struggling to feed their children, and those who see their children's mental health suffering and feel powerless to help. May they know the love of God, who is also a parent. Simon is compelled to help Jesus, even though he may not have known who Jesus was. We give thanks for those ordinary people working in our communities, collecting prescriptions, fetching shopping. May God inspire us to help others, known and unknown. According to stories that have been passed down, a woman reaches out and wipes the face of Jesus, bloody and sweaty. She recognizes the dignity of the man who is passing by, and she does not judge. May we who watch from our windows pray for those passing by and not judge them. This journey must seem never-ending to Jesus, step after step, and each step burdened by the weight of the cross. We pray for ourselves when we begin to feel weary, when the pressures of life in isolation begin to exhaust us. Remind us to be thankful that we have food and shelter, and to pray for those who do not. Jesus meets the women of Jerusalem, and he tells them not to cry for him, but to cry for themselves. Sometimes it feels like we have a lot to weep for. Sometimes all we can do is cry or pray. God grant those who weep hope. Jesus falls one last time under his burden. We pray for those who need strength and courage as the burden of isolation influences health and relationships. We pray in particular for those who are trapped with those that would harm them and those who are thinking of harming themselves. Even Jesus' clothes are taken away from him. He is left with literally nothing. We confess that we have hoarded goods for ourselves when others lack the bare necessities of life. Before this crisis, we did not always share as much as we could. Remind us when life gets back to something near normal to share. Jesus is nailed to the cross, a violent act and one we would rather skip past. We pray for those who long to sit with their dying, but cannot be near them because of the restrictions. We pause. We remember all those that have died due to the virus, those who have died through violence and conflict, those who have died during floods or storms. We remember those we have loved, and we stand beside all who mourn today. A man asks for Jesus' body to bury him with dignity. In the midst of this virus, we too are called to action, to do what we can. We pray that in the dark times, we will keep hope alight. Jesus is laid in the tomb, and now the waiting begins. The world is silent. Busyness is on hold. We can do nothing but sit and listen to God. May these days remind us of the importance of pausing and listening.